There's some big sites that are very important to Google. Yelp is one of them. A Facebook business page is another one. Google's always looking for that page. And you want your information to match on these really important sites so that everything kind of matches up for Google.
Welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast, where we talk all things brand building SEO, helping you connect with your audience, elevate your visibility, and grow your business. I'm your host, Krista Waddell, here to bridge the gap between SEO strategy and real-world business success by bringing you insights, stories, and conversations from the SEO community and beyond. Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketer, or SEO enthusiast, this is your place to learn, share, and build a brand that stands out. So grab a coffee or your favorite tea, and let's dive into smarter SEO for your business.
The concept of citation consistency, making sure your name, address, and phone number is perfect on all the different sites. That's a strategy that used to be talked about a lot. It's very important for local SEO. These days, it's a lot less important. Google is much better at matching information, so it's not as important as it used to be. If you do any investigating in local SEO, if you ask ChatGPT, whoa, how should I do local SEO? ChatGPT will tell you that citation consistency is extremely important because the corpus of knowledge on the internet says citation consistency is very important. It's actually not. And people obsess about making sure that my address has the ST instead of STREET. Like those little details, they're super non-important. Little inconsistencies like that, you don't have to worry about them. But you generally just want your information to match across the internet.
Okay. And then I felt like they were more important for us as non-physical storefront businesses because of the backlink potential and helping your domain authority, that type of thing. Is that still true at all, or was it ever true?
Well, links you're going to get from business directories like Yelp, Yellow Pages, I keep saying those just because they're sites that people know. Better Business Bureau is a good one. You should definitely make sure you're listed there. And then your industry specific sites. So if you work in a specific industry like plumbing, there's going to be all these plumbing specific directories. So getting listed on those is very important. The links themselves, pretty low value links. They're directory links, right? So they're not going to provide a big boost, but often for small businesses, they're the only links your competitors have. And so you should get them so that you even the playing field. But then if you really want to rank better, you should get some better links.
I love that. Yep. Is that what all of this falls under, that terminology of listing management? Is that what this is?
Yeah, but I think it goes back to what I said about the once and done thing. So if you're a small business with one or two locations, you don't need to really manage your listings. You get them all done, and then they live on those sites and you don't have to manage them. You only need to manage them if your information changes. So if you're a larger business with 100 plus locations, you do need some kind of management because things are changing all the time. This business, that location changed their hours. This location changed their phone number. That's where listings management comes in. For a small business, you don't really need to manage it. Once you've built all those citations, you're done.
Okay. And then I was listening to you on a podcast. I told you about that like before we jumped on. I was listening to you answer some questions on a different podcast. And you mentioned high star Google reviewers or the people who are like the higher level Google reviewers. And I was just wondering, I was like, is that a strategy? Can you target those people? Can you find them and get them to review your business?
Sure. Yeah, it is definitely a strategy. I think it's one of those unproven theories that if you get a review from what's called a local guide, so there's these Google local guides and there's levels of local guides that go up to 10. So level 10 local guide. Oh my God, you reviewed my business. It's going to definitely help me rank. And so that's a bit of an unproven theory. One of the things that is true is that reviews from local guides tend to stick to the top of your profile. They will stay at the top. They're more likely to get pulled into the review snippets. So they do seem to carry some extra weight. The question of how to target them, it's a difficult strategy. How are you going to target them? I don't know. You do some research, find all the local guys in your city, invite them to a cheese event. Those are things that I've heard people try to do. And you could do it. And there's actually a good model to follow in the Yelp community because Yelp has these things, very similar strategy called the Yelp Elites. And so you really only see this happening in the restaurant space where a new restaurant is opening. They put in the effort to find the Yelp elites and invite them to the restaurant because they want their reviews. And same thing, and usually if you're a Yelp elite, you probably have your own local food blog. Those are the people that like a new restaurant would want to target. And then that's where the strategy works. But if you're a local plumbing company, I think there's a lot of strategy for targeting Google local guides. But it is nice when you get those reviews. And so the only strategy I could really think of is you get a booking. Someone calls you, you get their name, you get their information, and then you just look to see if you can find them. And then if they're a local guide, then you give them extra special attention and you really encourage the reviews and you should work a little bit harder. I don't know. That's the only real strategy I could think of, depending on your business type.
That's fun. Okay. So when we're talking about like the Google business profile, like the elements of the profile, say products, if you're
Yep.
an e-commerce seller, are those important to fill out? And like the posts, if you had to do it like a little hierarchy of the importance of the parts of the Google business profile to fill out?
I'll give you the top to bottom here.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
So this is a ridiculous factor, and I apologize to all the listeners. Google has done the worst thing. Your business name, what you call your business on Google, there's a field for your business name or title. If you put keywords in that, you will rank for those keywords. And it's absolutely absurd. It's like you want to rank for Plumbers San Diego, and your business name is currently the Mechanic Brothers. Let's say that's your business name. You're called the Mechanic Brothers, but you're like, hey, how come we can't rank for Plumber San Diego? Google puts so much ranking benefit on the business name. So that is number one on your profile. Whatever you have in your name, that's number one. And the strategy, that's actually an area where you could get your business suspended for violating the guidelines. So your name has to reflect your real world business name. But you'll see it, especially in dentistry. Almost every dentist is now called dentist city name plus some like brand. So they do that because there's so much ranking benefit for it. And so you could potentially rebrand your business. You're like, what? And I've done this before for a number of clients where I've told them, I was like, if you do this, you will rank like incredibly well. And it's always absolutely mind blowing. It's like ranking in positions 8 through 15 for all of the keywords. We update the business name on Google. First, you got to update the website, the logo, the signage, all your official business documentation. Then when you finally get all that stuff done, you update Google and it's like absolutely explosion of rankings overnight. All the charts go up and to the right and you rank like crazy. So anyways, business name is number one. Number two is your primary category. So in your category section of your Google Business Profile, the primary category that you set has a very big impact on rankings. The good example I like to use for that is there's a lot of different categories. You want to pick the category that's most closely aligned with what you want to rank for. For example, if you are a law firm, but you specialize, there's a category for law firm. There's also a category for criminal defense attorney or personal injury lawyer or bankruptcy lawyer. Your category should most closely align with what you want to rank for. So law firm is a terrible primary category. Criminal defense attorney is a perfect one if you offer criminal law. So that's your second most powerful lever you can pull on your Google Business Profile. The third is your additional categories. That's like casting a wider net. It's almost like those services where you're like, I also want to rank for all these things. And so you add additional categories for the other things that you want your profile to rank for. Then I would say services are next. Services have a direct impact on ranking. So you want to definitely optimize your services section, as we already talked about. The third thing would be attributes. Attributes don't have a direct impact on your broad terms, but you can add attributes like this is a women-led company. This is a veteran-led company. And so then when someone searches for those specific things, we were like women-owned business consultants company. If they put women-owned, then your attributes will actually help you rank better for those very specific things. Another example would be wheelchair accessible restaurants, right? So if you have that attribute, wheelchair accessible, that'll help you rank better when people search for that specific thing. So I say attributes have a direct impact. There's a field on your Google Business Profile which links to your website. So your website, as I mentioned, is a primary source of data. So you must have that filled out and must be optimized. I should have said reviews a little earlier because reviews on your Google Business Profile are extremely important. You must have a review strategy. You must be getting reviews. And it's an amazing thing because it's time dependent. If you get reviews, let's say in your industry, your average competitors have 30 reviews. You're like, great, I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to get my 30 reviews. And then you stop getting reviews. You will see your rankings go up while you're getting all those reviews are coming in. But then if you stop getting reviews, you'll see your rankings start to drop again. So review recency is a thing. Frequently and recently are you getting reviews? You need a steady stream of reviews all the time. So continuing to get Google reviews is a really valuable and important strategy. I wouldn't call that a field on your Google Business Profile, but it's definitely a ranking factor on your Google Business Profile. And then the rest of them, I would say, if there's a field on Google, fill it out. I do know that the description, this always blows people's mind, has no impact on ranking. You're like, what? Yeah, there's a field on your Google business profile. You can add stuff, as many keywords as you want there that won't help you rank for those keywords. So the strategy for your description is to write it like conversion copy. What would convince someone to pick up the phone and call your business if they read that description? So you're writing it more to be compelling. Don't stuff it with keywords, has no value. I'll stop
Well,
it.
what about the posts, like the pictures that you can post on? Is it worth it to do that consistently or?
So I should have mentioned the photo section too, because I love the photo section of your Google business. Probably you can upload photos. So in the same way that I would want my clients continually get reviews, I want them to continually upload photos and videos to the Google Business Profile photo section. And the reason is that Google has an AI. If you can actually test this, it's really cool. Take a photo and throw it into ChatGPT and say, describe this photo. And it'll blow your mind how good ChatGPT is explaining everything that's in that photo. You can do the same thing with Google. Google doesn't give you that thing. Gemini can do it. But then you end up with, you realize your photo is so much rich data and information that helps Google understand your business better. So uploading photos on a regular basis is really great. But you asked about Google Posts. So there's this section where you can do what's like a social post. It's called a Google Update. It used to be called Google Posts. But a Google Update, we don't believe they directly impact rankings. Doing them, adding keywords to them, not necessary. So as a result, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, I don't need to bother with Google Posts. I'm not going to bother. I'm like, please don't think that way. Google Posts are really valuable from a conversion perspective. And you also have to think social media posts like an Instagram or a Facebook post or a tweet. Those are always going to people that have already said, I'm a huge fan of this business. I'm going to like them on social media. So they're already your fans. Everyone that's seeing your stuff on your Google business profile, they are potential customers, prospects, new audience. It's amazing. So they've got this great opportunity to sell to those people. And so every Google post should be compelling. It should be explaining why you're awesome. So you can actually take some of your best reviews and repurpose them as Google posts. You can take testimonials, repurpose them as Google posts. You can take case studies or showing great work that you've done. But I also really like to talk about special. Hey, we're running a sale this week. We're doing an awesome thing where, just making it salesy. That's where you wouldn't want to be salesy on Instagram, but you do want to be salesy in your Google posts. So there's great value because anyone that sees them, they can directly convert and you can link them to a page on your website where they can buy the thing immediately. So I do love Google Posts. I highly recommend them. There's another ranking signal on your whole Google business profile, which is engagement signals. How long are people spending on your profile? What are they clicking on? Are they reading your reviews? Are they looking through your photos? And this is why when you enhance your profile with lots of reviews, lots of photos, Google Posts, you fill out your services section, you give people a lot to engage with. And those engagement signals tell Google, people must really like this one. They're spending a lot of time on it. And so that's another reason to do Google Posts, upload the photos, upload the videos. That just keeps people engaged with your profile, which are definitely signals that Google uses in the ranking algorithm.
So can the average business owner see these engagement metrics?
No.
Okay.
So we only know this because of there was a leak, an API leak. Everyone always suspected this. And then there was lots of tests. Actually, I did a test in 2014, which was amazing. I built a robot, like a script that would search for a specific keyword, scroll down in the results until it found one specific business, and then would click on it, and then the robot would stop doing it. And then another robot would spin up and do the same thing. So we had it running about 30 of these per hour. And then every time it would do it, it would take a screenshot of the page. And you could actually see the one that the bots were clicking on slowly put all of the screenshots into an animated GIF, and you could see the business go all the way to the number one, and then it's stuck there. But then as soon as the robots turned off, it turned off. But that was a real clear signal, even back in 2014, that Google is using how people are engaging with the search result, what they're clicking on, where they're spending time on as one of the signals. But now we think it's much more advanced than it was back then.
Gotcha. Okay. You have given us so much awesome information. I know our time is almost up here.
Almost over already? What?
Yeah, you're awesome. This has been so great. There's something I wanted to ask you because this actually pertains to one of my clients that I help, and she has virtual locations.
Sure.
And I've read a couple things like, okay, if you have a virtual location, but you don't actually have a physical location, are you supposed to have a Google business profile for that? But as if you serve
Yeah.
multiple locations, let's say it's like Hamilton, Ontario, Vancouver, Edmonton, what's your take on that and creating these virtual locations and multiple Google business profiles for them?
It's against the guidelines to do it. So a virtual office always has a big bullseye on it from a suspension factor. Google knows where the Regis offices are. And so if your address is the same as a Regis address, it's, oh, clearly this is a virtual business. And so you can get them verified sometimes. Google doesn't like them and they're risky. They'll often get suspended and then you got to deal with trying to get it reinstated. But generally, if you are a virtual business, you're supposed to have one location. And then you set what are on your Google business profile are called service areas. We also service Hamilton and Niagara Falls and all the different like areas around, right? The reality is that the service area section of your Google business profile has no impact on ranking. So it's thanks, Google. I could say I service this area, but you don't rank me in Hamilton. It's very annoying. So then the strategy would be to open a new location in Hamilton. And you can do that. I would recommend not getting a virtual office. I would recommend getting a real office. Is try to find the cheapest closet space that you can and create a small little office for $200-300 a month if you can get it. And then you can actually have a real location. You'll be much more likely to get that location verified with Google and it can rank. And so now you could be ranking in the local results in that city. So yes, it's a strategy. You can do it.
Okay, so quick clarification. They're virtual offices, but what about in the US? I don't know that if you guys have them in Canada, but they were these workspaces. I really enjoyed work.
Yeah. So we work in co-working spaces. They have the same challenges that a virtual office like Regis would have. And so co-working spaces are, again, not really within the guidelines unless you have a dedicated office with your own signage. If you're really going by the guidelines, you need a dedicated office. You need a lease agreement. You say, yes, I'm located in a WeWork space, but it's a real office. Look, here's my sign on the door. This is I can open it with a key. You have to actually prove that. Google's doing video verification now to get that kind of information. So you could use it. It's just you may have to deal with it getting suspended over and over again. And so that's why I like to get the cheap closet space office, because then you sidestep that thing. I'm giving you a little bit of spammy tactics here where you're opening up not really legitimate locations, but if you want to do it, avoid co-working spaces and virtual offices.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of the gray area. I like to stay away from the black hat, but the gray is sometimes things need to be done because of certain situations. No judgment, but I'm glad you could answer that for us. I guess just to end our time today, like if a business owner had just 1 hour a week to spend to improving their local SEO, how should they spend that hour?
Review acquisition, I would do that. And then I would start focusing on reviews on other sites. I think that is really always valuable. I would make one Google post per week. So try to get a Google post out per week. I would always be looking at my service pages and being like, okay, maybe this week I'm going to build a new page or I'm going to improve and enhance one of my service pages. So if you're only putting in 1 hour a week, I would focus on those. I think those are your highest leverage activities. So service pages, service content. And then I think the other one would be link building, but it can't be the citation link building. It has to be real links. We didn't even talk about that, but one of my favorite link methods is called your contact list. Go through your phone contact list and on every person be like, do they have a website? Yeah. Oh yeah, that person does have a website. Can I get them to link to me? Yes, because it's my uncle. And I'll be like, hey, uncle, can you please put a link from your website to my website? And then he would do it. And so that's why I like the contact list. The other one are sponsorships. So you can sponsor local causes, local sports teams. There's all these little local businesses that would happily take your $200 in exchange for a link on their website. You would donate to them and they would get some links there. So those are some better links that you can get rather than just directories.
I love that. And then you're giving back to the community too and building your brand in the community, which is something we've been talking about too. Darren, you are amazing. This was so fun. Like I said, I have so many questions, but you've answered many of them. And I really appreciate the time that you've taken with us today and share all this amazing knowledge with my audience. Now, if there's someone who's a good fit to work with Whitespark,
yep,
how can they self-identify themselves and where do they go to do that?
So we do provide software and services for basically any business that cares about the logo results. And so we work with lots of big enterprises. We work with individual, small, tiny businesses. We have a full agency side in our SEO services where we will be your agency and do all of the work for you and do all the consulting with you. So we have a full agency side that's reasonably priced. We have a service that's specifically for building out your citations and building out those listings for you. No one wants to do that work. So you can hire our team to do it for you. But yeah, you can just go to whitespark.ca and you can see our software. All of our software is really designed to help people that want to do it themselves. And then our services are like, we'll do it for you. So we have the full spectrum, whitespark.ca.
And your clients can come from Canada or the US. Is that correct?
90% of our client base is in the US. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we have a much bigger presence in the US. I don't know. I guess it happened because I did all the speaking and stuff in the US, and that just seems to be where our presence is. But yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Darren, thank you so much for being on the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And for you on the other side of the headphones, I will see you next week.